My understanding, which I have from other Muslims, which is part and parcel of why I hold that, and have read in the Islamic sources, that the Quran itself does intercede for Muslims, or will, on the Day of Judgment. Right? The Quran will appear as a pale man and will say that he was the Muslim's companion in life and will intercede for him. Is that not correct?
Can you give me a reference for that?
That's in the Hadith.
Which hadith?
Seriously, you don't think I'm going to go back? I mean, like, I don't know.
Are you saying that's not in the Hadith?
That is not in any authentic hadith that I've ever read.
So you'd say it's not
authentic?
Oh, that's fine. If you say it's not authentic.
Hold on, take it easy. So, to say the Quran will appear as a pale man, and what did you say it would be with
the Quran will intercede for Muslims and will say that it
as
was,
a pale man.
Well, that's in a Tirmidhi hadith, for example.
Let's just,
I can look for it.
Let's look for it. No, hold on. Because see, I like to discuss on evidences. So can I find a hadith in a Tirmidhi that says the Quran will be a pale man? Let's just find that and then I will explain from there.
This is the hadith from link durar.net, which we call Ad-Durar As-Saniyah, and this is one of the most authenticated hadith link nowadays being used by the most popular and known scholars in the world. And the hadith here is number 1. يجيء القرآن يوم القيامة كالرجل الشاحب. At the end of the hadith it says المصدر, the source is ضعيف الجامع, it's totally weak. Then خلاصة المحدث, the one who narrated the hadith, says that the hadith is weak hadith according to Al-Albani. So therefore Imam Al-Albani rahimahullah said that this hadith is very weak hadith according to Imam Al-Albani. So Sheikh Uthman Hafidhahullah, when he said that hadith is weak, he gave the right sources and he was saying facts and speaking the truth. But unfortunately his guests Sam Shamoun, Anthony Roger and David Woods were twisting around and playing around to make their point by lying and twisting the hadith and imposing in Sheikh Uthman that the hadith is not weak. And as Sheikh Uthman told you, Darus Salam is a distributor. It's a publisher. They are not a scholar who will give their opinion if the hadith is sahih or weak hadith.
This is Darus Salam's reads, right? So this is not Sunnah.com, just a website. Okay?
So Darus Salam
is a publishing house, right? But that's not the grading.
Yeah, but they gave the rating according to Hadith scholars, right? They're not just making it up.
No. So we need to. I know this hadith, and that's why I was telling you, right? And I can show you the weakness in it if you like. Darus Salam is a publishing house, not a scholar itself, right? Their grading by itself is not a hujjah, it's not an evidence. You have to look at the evidence from the scholars of hadith. Is that what I'm saying?
Now, to confirm the grading Hassan comes from Al-Albani, I'm going to go to Islam Question and Answer. This is an online Salafi site. It's question 93151. 93151. Good deeds appear in the form of a man in the grave. They narrate this hadith, so let me read it and then we'll go into to see what the grading is and where they got it from. Okay, here it goes. It was narrated that Burayda said, I heard the Prophet say, the Quran will meet its companion on the day of resurrection when his grave is opened for him in the form of a pale man. This hadith you're referring to. It will say to him, do you recognize me? He will say, I do not recognize you. It will say, I am your companion, the Quran, who kept you thirsty on hot days and kept you awake at night. Every merchant benefits from his business, and today you will benefit from your good deeds. He will be given dominion in his right hand and eternity in his left, and there will be placed on his head a crown of dignity, and his parents will be clothed with priceless garments, the like of which have never been seen in this world. They will say, why have we been clothed with this? It will be said, because your son used to recite Quran. Then will be said to him, recite and ascend in the degrees of paradise, and he will continue to ascend so long as he recites, either at a fast pace or a slow pace. Now, narrated by Ahmad in Al-Musnad, and in Ibn Majah in Al-Sunan, that's the one that David brought up, right? Classed as Hassan by Al-Bayhaqi, considered one of the greatest Muslim scholars of the past, in Al-Zawaid, and by Al-Albani and in Al-Silsila Al-Sahiha. So who graded it, Hassan? Al-Albani. So again, for those who don't know, typically, normally, when Darussalam give you a grading, they're getting it from Al-Albani. So just wanted to be clear on that.
San Shamoun lie once again. San Shamoun said that he used Islamic question and answer, question number 93151. Actually, I went to the same source and I start reading what San Shamoun quote. So Sham Shamoun quote the right hadith. He quote that hadith was narrated by correctly, but he did not continue reading all the way below. Because if you read the continuation of the context, he will realize that what he was saying is not true and he was trying to lie. So therefore, let us read what is written at the end of the answer for the question that he quote from the link Islam question and answer. It says here clearly at the end. You see, as for the hadith which you quoted, it is not narrated in any of the reliable books of Sunnah. It is not narrated in any of the reliable books of Sunnah. And we have not found it with any isnad, sahih, sound, or da'if, weak. Rather, it is something that appears in some chat rooms or some sites with no proof, exactly like what happened with Darussalam. Darussalam, as the Sheikh told you, it is a distribution source. It's not an authenticated source that you can get from them the grading of the hadith if it's weak or sahih. If you continue reading here, it says, perhaps some ignorant persons wrote it himself, then attribute it to the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, to encourage the people to respect the Quran and to pay attention to it. So therefore, the continuation of the answer that you quote, Sam Shamoun, which you totally ignored, says exactly at the end that it is not narrated in any one of the reliable books of Sunnah, and it was maybe written by some of those ignorant or some links. Then they say that it is Sahih, but according to the Islamic sources, according to Islamic scholars, as Sheikh Uthman said, they says it's a weak hadith. So therefore, you have to go back to the grading of the hadith according to the scholars, not according to a distribution or a distributor like Darussalam.